Tennessee Williams is one of the most interesting artists. I mean, this fellow was a real artist. And I got to thinking about him about the time she suggested we were going to do this show about Tennessee Williams. My brother Ken, who's a fellow who's been in the wine business for many years, called me and said he was heading for Puerto Vallarta. And in preparation for going to Puerto Vallarta, he was watching his favorite little VCR. Ken lives way out in the country up in Mendocino County, and he doesn't have cable TV, so he operates on VCRs. He was watching it every night, he and his wife, and they were enjoying this movie, which he'd actually seen many times. He'd even been to Puerto Vallarta in the wine business several times down there. And on every visit, he went up there to where they shot that movie in this beautiful villa that was up there in the hill. How many of you have seen the movie?
Which one?
Night of the Iguana. Thank you. So, well, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. You'll love it. And watch it more than once, too. But anyway, so he had this VCR, and he's watching it every night. And then he flies down there. And because of him, I started watching the movie myself. And then I watched The Glass Menagerie. And then I watched Baby Doll. And each of these movies were incredible and wonderful. And the writing is so lyrical and beautiful. And the characters and the sensitivity to the human condition is so great. And that's what artists do, is artists try to connect that part that's inside them. And I was remembering one time I had just finished a peyote meeting in Taos, New Mexico, in a teepee, and I was sitting in this big, long house with a whole bunch of people, and there was a big party going on, and everybody, there was always a potluck after the peyote meetings, and an Indian friend of mine named Tell Us Good Morning, who was an older man, much older than me, maybe twice my age, was sitting down at this room on the floor as I was sitting up, leaning up against the wall over here. And he looked at me, and he always had such a beautiful face. And he was laughing at me, and he was pointing at me, and he went like this at me, and he goes, he caught me watching everything and watching everybody. And I thought later, well, that's what I do. Because I'm an actor, I'm a performer. And all my life I watched people. I watched how they reacted to things and how they felt and how they expressed their feelings and that sort of thing. And that's what artists do. We connect with our fellow human beings, and then we try to say something or make a comment on that in some way. And Tennessee Williams, he did that all his life. In fact, if you watch The Glass Menagerie, you can't help but think that that's practically autobiographical, because he had a sister upon which the young woman in the play was based. His sister suffered from mental illness and eventually had to be put away, and was eventually, because it was the 50s, given a lobotomy so that her mind was, I had a couple of aunts who had mental illness, and they had lobotomies in the 50s. And so this affected him, and he always felt extremely guilty and bad about that. And on top of all that, in the 50s, he was a homosexual. So this was difficult. And then he had a battle with alcohol that was incredible, that often won, and led to barbiturates, which eventually played a part in his actual passing away. So he lived a hard life in many, many ways, and yet this artist reached the very heights. He wrote many, many plays that were big hits on Broadway, and many, many short stories, and a couple of novels, and lots of stuff. Lots and lots of stuff. But towards the end of his life, things started slowing down, and the critics, who so loved his work in his peak, began to say bad things about his work, and began to suggest it was gone. Plays which are now being done all over the United States were panned. Some thought maybe because there was this hatred for homosexuals in those days, and that some of the judgments were harsh because of that against him. But whatever the case, it took him into deep depression, and he suffered more. And yet, he never gave up. He always kept writing, kept working and kept being the wonderful artist that he was. On his tombstone, his best friend wrote one line from Camino Real. Oh, I was going to tell you too. My brother the other day went again, by boat this time, in Puerto Vallarta, to the place where the movie was shot. And this time it was all locked up. And there's a big dispute among the families, so that this great resource and this wonderful, what could be a wonderful tourist attraction in Puerto Vallarta is now all shut down. On his tombstone, his best friend, who was a woman who he knew all of his life, wrote this line from Camino Real: "The violets in the mountains have broken the rocks." She said that the essence of Tennessee was his gentleness. He was the most gentle and compassionate person anyone could hope to meet. I feel blessed. He brought poetry into my life, and he brought poetry into the lives of many, many people. So let's hear it for old Tennessee Williams.